Good evening, friends, and everybody. Welcome to Friday Night Writes. We are here with our special guest this evening, the Gemini author, Tanya Declercq. How are you this evening?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
Nice, nice, and yeah, it's nice to be with you. It's nice to see you again. I know I said in my video this morning, I I remember seeing you at Dreaming Dirty in Michigan last year, or I'm meeting you for the first time. So it's nice to see you again, and nice to see
We
everybody.
also met at Books and Bourbon.
I'm sorry, what's that?
We also met at Books and Bourbon last year.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot about that one too. Yeah, that was a nice event too. Yeah, you know hopefully I can get to go back there next year. So,
Are you not going this year?
no, unfortunately, I had to cut almost all of my events for 2025 for reasons, but looking forward to getting out there. Next year. Hopefully, be back in Michigan and Kentucky and all the good places. So I'm sure I'll see you again at some point, but after tonight, of course. So, but we are here, and we thank you all for joining us. And uh, just a quick, of course, you know about the Schmiv. I don't know if we've decided exactly what we're giving away, but if I don't know. I think we were undecided the last time we spoke whether it was a signed copy or an ebook or or whatever, like an audible code perhaps.
No, I will send out a physical copy signed with some swag to whoever wins. And if they do enjoy Audible, I will also include an Audible code as well.
Nice. That's awesome. And if you want to drop either the Gemini sign or emoji down in the comments, or if you can't find it, just type Gemini because this is the Gemini author. So, and thank you again. And it looks like Bobby is already entered. So thank you. So why don't we begin? Just pretty basic question, or it sounds basic, but it might be a little complicated. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Tanya Declercq?
Well, first I'll answer the question why I always go by Gemini Author. Because I've gotten asked that several times because my website is geminiauthor.com. And I always start by saying, yeah, I'm Tanya Declercq, your favorite Gemini author.
Right.
It's because no one can ever say my name. It really is. Either they can't say it or they can't spell it. So I try to keep things simple. I am a Gemini, obviously. My birthday is next month. Um, and I'm an author. So I figure just kind of keeps things a little bit easier for everybody across the board.
Right.
But, I've always loved writing. I wrote poetry as a kid. I used to read Shakespeare for fun before I was even a teenager. And it got me through a lot of tough times too when I was growing up. And from there, it I kind of let it go for a while. Too many voices in my head telling me I could never do it.
The imposter syndrome.
Yeah. But I didn't really have a good support system for even trying it. So a few years ago, I finally decided, you know what? I'm getting older. I've always wanted to do this. I'm just going to do it. And if nothing comes of it, hey, at least I can say I followed my dreams. So,
That's a good yeah. That's a good way to think about it. And I guess I'm kind of sort of in the same boat. I'm getting older or am older, not getting there, but you know, it was one of those things where I'd written a book many years ago, and I said, you know what, I can do this again, and then I wrote another one, and so here we are. So, and I've learned the hard way that it's not as lucrative as you think, or for most of us. So it's just you got to do it for the love of writing.
that is certainly true. I keep telling everybody, it's like you do this in many different ways. There's ways to do it that are a lot less expensive than the way I've gone. Um, but you do what you love, and
Yes.
you put as much as you can into it, and it will either pay off or it won't, but at least you've accomplished it. At least years down the line, that's still out there, something you created and you followed through and you did. And anyone who does that should feel proud of themselves.
That's a great point. Yeah. You go on your Amazon page and you look, type in your name and say, hey, I did that. I did that and I did that. Yeah. That's, something like, even when you're long gone, people can still find your book. That's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah,
Um,
you'll have a legacy.
exactly. There you go. I mean, were you always thinking about writing? As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? Was it something else?
At first, I wanted to be a singer. Um, and I actually did choir all through junior high and high school and everything. And um, then I also really liked science, and I liked the puzzles that you could solve and, like, the experiments.
Nice.
Um, and somehow I ended up though doing computers. So the writing kind of,
Hmm.
it was something I enjoyed, but never something I ever thought I could be a writer
Yeah. I
until I got older.
Right, right, yeah. Yeah, I think that's sort of what happened with me. I went to school for music business, and then, I was a big sports fan growing up, and just one of those things that, hey, one of these days I should write a book. Like I have this silly little idea, and as time went on, it was just like, I got to do this. Why not?
And that is the funny thing. Like, I wrote a story for one of my high school classes. We had to write just a short thing, and I wrote it, and my teacher was just like, this is good, but I didn't expect this.
Oh,
I kind of unalived a feline in a tree, and
oh
he was
no.
just like, he was just like, I mean, he's like, it was really good, it was really well written, but he didn't expect that from me.
Yeah, it's well, that's sometimes, what we give our characters trauma. It's like we break them down to build them up again. Is that how it goes?
And that's actually what happened. It did traumatize one of the characters in the story.
Right. And now, so now this was during, was it high school? You said.
Yeah, that teacher never looked at me the same again after that.
Nice.
But they did encourage me to turn my poems into the National Library of Poetry, for this like contest thing that they had, and they did select my poem to be published in their book. So
Oh,
it worked out.
well, I believe Bobby Isabel, who was watching us, she has a thing about poetry too, and she's written quite a few. In fact, she has contributed one or two to our anthology, which I forgot to plug. I'll do this again later. Yes, I knew I was forgetting something at the top of the show, and I'm like, it's like, when yes, see me as I am. The pre-orders start now. Oh, they start now. They already started. We have 17 wonderful authors. We have Ashley Scheller donating some artwork for the book, and we'll talk more about that later on. But getting back to you, so besides writing, I mean, what other hobbies would you say you have?
I like playing video games.
Ah,
I'm a nerd. I'm a complete nerd. Um, I do. I love playing RPGs like Assassin's Creed
oh,
and Horizon Zero Dawn, and I play Fortnite with my son.
nice, nice. Yeah, I've kind of gotten into my video game phase again. I still, I'm playing a lot of the sports games. You know, I played a lot of those growing up, and not so much the role playing games, but like, yeah, um, yeah, and any, I haven't read your books as of yet. And your books are kind of set in a fantasy realm. So usually we ask people, no. Oh,
They are not.
Oh, uh,
Actually, no. My book starts off back in like, the 1700s. Jenna Devereaux is ready for her like her happily ever after. She's going to her first real ball. The man of her dreams was asked to call on her, and that's actually the night she dies.
oh,
And from there, she learns about what she really is and who she really is, and all the fun stuff that exists in our world, just in the shadows. There is a magical element, though. There's a place that kind of exists everywhere and nowhere. It's kind of like the Continental for these, special beings. Um, but yeah, nobody can harm anybody there.
nice. So, now, do you have any like hobbies or not hobbies? Any other like causes or projects that you're like like they're passionate about? Like like some people have a would give to their royalties to charity or something like that. Is there anything that is near and dear to you?
Yeah, I actually do support when I can, single mom, um, support autoimmune research because I have several autoimmune diseases. I have really bad psoriasis, psoriatic arthritis, Hashimoto's. Um,
Oh wow.
so yeah, it's another reason why it's like a lot of times when I go to these events, even though I want to see everybody, some days, especially with the anxiety, it's like it takes enough out of me just to set up and sit at my table and
Right.
and see everyone.
Yes, I understand. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and I know yeah, it is a lot, and I know like Evie, for example, it's when she's not doing when she's not at her table, she's basically in her hotel room kind of resting, most of the time. So and yeah, the traveling does take a lot out of you, so I get that. So
Yeah, and I'm one of those people with my anxiety. I kind of have to drive, so I drive the whole way.
oh, okay, not a flyer.
I would fly, but the cost of trying to ship everything is just yeah, it's not worth it at this point. I can
Hmm.
I can manage not well, but I can manage being in a car for 13, 14 hours, but I have to be the one that's driving.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think the longest I've ever physically driven was from New York to Roanoke, which is about 7.5, 8 hours. Yeah, and I know Sam's driven like throughout the night. Like she left Michigan to go to South Carolina last year. That was, well, I don't know, what was it, 15 hours, something like that. But yeah, like they
Yeah,
have.
my next event is like that long. It's like a 13-hour drive. 17 hours? Oof.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah. I don't. However, it was from Kalamazoo to Greenville, South Carolina. That's I think they did stop somewhere along the way for at a rest stop for a couple hours. But yeah, that's quite a trip. Some of your favorite things, favorite candy, favorite foods, favorite seasons, favorite music. Just what would you say?
Music is definitely anything where I can understand the lyrics.
Okay,
Um, I need that story.
right,
I
right.
need the words. And, but I'll listen to anything, from country to pop to alternative, especially in the 90s, because I am older.
Yes.
I'll be 48 soon, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Lithium on
But
Sirius.
exactly, that's Lithium and the Alt Nation are like my two favorite channels.
Yes. Yeah. I listen to
They get me
First
through
Wave
those
too.
drives.
Yes. Yeah. Like the other day, I'm like I've listened to all these stations like so many times. Like I forgot about First Wave, so it's like yeah, I can listen to all Depeche Mode and all that.
Yeah, no, that's what gets me through those long drives. It's like I can drive, and I've got my passenger princess, whoever it is for whichever event, sitting in the seat, and we just go. Um, But favorite foods, I really love grilled chicken. I know it's kind of sounds boring, but there's so much you can do with it.
Oh yeah,
You know, different seasonings, different things you can put it on.
yeah. It's barbecue season coming up, so we have our chicken. Like we have our chicken tenderloins. I can we marinate them, and then we put them on the grill and put a little seasoning. But yeah, I think it was like the Italian dressing. We marinate them, and they taste so good. I have Montreal seasoning
Yeah,
for my burgers. Yeah.
I have that. I have the Montreal steak seasoning that I'll put in. I don't buy hamburgers at all. I got probably the last almost 20 years. I just make my hamburgers, but I put in ranch dressing and grated Parmesan instead of egg and
Oh,
breadcrumbs, and it holds it together still with garlic and onion and Italian seasoning and a
nice.
lot of different things.
I mean, we're all readers too. So, what was the last book that you read that you would say that's a 5-star read? Oh,
Actually, it's funny as I just finished it.
oh, there it is.
Samantha's book. It's
That is a 10-star read. Yes, I know. There's no
yeah.
such
I
thing.
started reading it, and it was kind of like, okay, it's like I need to finish this. So because of Samantha, I had a couple very tired days at work, so it's her fault.
You just
I
had
did
to.
finish it.
You just had to keep reading. Yep, you couldn't. You had to find out how it is, how it happened, how he got the way he did.
Yeah, actually, she sold this to me at Books and Bourbon last year,
Oh yeah.
and I just finally had time to read it, and it's like, okay, it's like, yeah,
Yeah, that was probably my I mean one of my that is probably my favorite book of hers and of anybody's, to be honest. It's like it's spooky, it's spicy, and it has like a story to behind, that you just have to like as soon as I started reading it, it was like I have to keep reading. I had to find out how this happened. You know, what did she do to him? You know what I mean?
exactly. I mean, and yes, you need to get that one done, but it's really good. And I promise I won't talk about it because
Yeah.
I'll get excited about it and I'll tell you too much. So,
Right. Right.
because I am horrible at that, except I have no filter. And yes, I do tend to curse quite a bit, which does, if you read any of my books, expect cursing.
Oh yeah,
If that
that's fine.
offends
I mean,
you,
yeah. I mean, there's I curse in my books too. Shit, fuck, goddamn,
exactly.
motherfucker, all that good stuff. See you next Tuesday.
Well, well, that's just it. Jenna starts out so sweet, so innocent, the proper English lady. And at the end of it, like actually one of the quotes from the book that's on the bags that I sell and on one of the magnets, Joanna's telling her, she's like, to look at you, everyone would think, what a gorgeous woman you are. To speak to you, they would think a sailor has possessed your body. It's like, yeah, yeah, that about fits. Even tells Jenna, it's like, you don't need, to curse so much. She's like, I know, but why the fuck not?
It's right. So and there's 2 books in the Fate series. It's a life forged in death, and a choice forged by fate.
Yes. These are the books.
There you go.
This is the first one, and this is the second one. And actually, my youngest son, Chris, actually helped me design the cover for this one.
Oh, nice.
And there's artwork inside.
Ooh.
So that
And
one's
so we
a
have
lot
black
like the
pages. We
cover.
have artwork. Yeah, that is very
Yeah,
nice.
I like pretty things. But yes, that one's my favorite.
Ooh. Oh, now he did that artwork too.
No, I actually worked with another author who is part of Ravenswood Publishing. She does all my formatting for me, and she did the interior artwork. And she does all the formatting for all my books.
That's
But we
nice. Yeah.
decided on that, and then yeah, there's artwork at the start of every chapter for who's speaking.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of books that I've read, it's always like split POVs, like it's this character and this character, like kind of go back and forth, and And yeah, it's funny. I got actually, yeah, um, my first book being made was it's written like a fictitious memoir. So it's like that one of the characters is telling the story, but it's like it's telling first, one chapter he's telling his story, and the other chapter he's telling her story. That recalling her story. The way she told it to him. So it's
Yeah.
so, and
Yeah, this one switches for the character. So like if you're reading a chapter other than for him in this one, um it's the character who's speaking, it's always in their point of view for that chapter.
right,
And that continues on in this one. It'll continue in the other ones as well.
cool. So and you're working on a book three currently.
Yes, I'm working on book 3 and I'm working on a mafia romance as well.
Oh,
It didn't start out that way. I'm actually using some elements from my life and um, my suicide attempt as a teenager.
okay.
And I wanted to write kind of that story. And the book is called My Sweetest Revenge.
Mm,
And it's because really the way she developing and the way I felt afterwards was the best revenge I could get against people that were making me feel like I didn't belong and shouldn't be here, was to be here and to live my life.
yeah, that's well.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here, and they say living well is the best revenge. That's one of my favorite quotes,
Exactly.
and a song by REM.
Yes. And that's just it. So it is. It's called My Sweetest Revenge. And as I was writing it and talking to some people close to me about the book, they're like, well, who always loves the broken girl who's strong and independent, right? And I'm just looking at him like, what? Like, a mafia guy. Like,
Hmm.
they're like, you should turn into a mafia romance. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, fine. Because then it started getting in my head and it's taken off from there.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Yeah, I know quite a few authors who are into the mafia romance genre as well. So
Yeah, not a genre I ever really considered when I was been writing my other books. It's not something that ever even now I've read many. I like them.
yeah,
Never something I thought I could do. I'm kind of liking it.
nice. Yeah, and you never know it. It's like I started writing my last book called Core Memories. It was just like started as just a short story series, like just a series of fun little spicy romps, just to kind of
Yeah.
break the monotony, and then it just kind of turned into a book. So-
Now I have a question though that I've been wanting to ask you.
okay.
For your books and your marketing at events, I know you do the whole picnic thing, which I think is so awesome, honestly. If nobody's ever seen him at events, you gotta see it. Go check out his profile. I'm sure he's got pictures of it on there. The setup is so cute. How did that evolve?
So, well, that was Sam's idea. She said, you need to come up, we should do something to kind of really, push the whole core memories, theme, because it's a lot of it takes place at an Italian restaurant. My one main character works for an Italian restaurant chain, and it's a
Okay.
lot of their, you know, um, the that restaurant like has like a is a central part of the book. The things take where things take place there. So it's so I was just trying to think of what we can so just go to the dollar store, get some plates, some cups, some silverware, get like a table setting. So I had the tablecloth because we have like for when we have picnics and whatnot, at a or not picnics, when we have like parties at our house, and so I I just found that like the white and red checkered pattern. Went to the dollar store, got all the other stuff, got a wine glass, got found some candles, like the like the little tea lights, and just I took the my other chair because I didn't have a PA, and I swung it around and set it up like a table, like a. So that's how that happened.
It is such a cool idea. It's like seeing it, and it's like I saw like readers sitting down with you, and I'm like, that's really smart.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, and I'll be bringing back that display at. Oh, here's a pussycat.
Yeah, see, I do like cats.
Yep.
This is Loki, and he lives up to his name.
Hi, Loki. Yep. We have.
He's got skulls too.
I'm sorry. What's that?
There's skulls on his collar too.
Oh.
Yeah, I know you can't go on my keyboard though. Stop.
Yes, we have Chesney and Buffett, and they usually. Chesney usually leaves me alone when I'm upstairs in my office. Buffett will come keep me company sometimes. So, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, well, so core memories. The whole setup will be back at Sinful in July. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm re-releasing the book with all the just kind of quick just quickly going through all the stuff and re-releasing it with the I don't know how to say it, but it's coming back.
With all the marketing and the
Yes, and I still have another book that I'm trying to finish this year. It's about 75% done. So hopefully that by the
and
end of
now
the
is
year.
that a continuation or is that a new thing?
No, that is a standalone. It's
Okay.
because I have kind of a series of standalones where one book involves a basketball player, one involves a baseball player. This one has a football player. So they're all in the same universe, but they're standalones. Yeah.
See, this is what being in the author community though is about, and that's one thing I love is like talking to other authors, hearing what they're doing, hearing like about their books and how their ideas came about. It's like I think it's something a lot of people don't realize is a big part of this community. You know, is just learning from each other and sharing. It's not a competition. There's plenty of
Oh,
readers out there, including
oh
the
yeah.
authors.
That is true. Yes, and it's yeah. This is the part I enjoy the most because I don't really get a chance to outside of Sam and Evie I talk to all the time, but and then other people I talk to like Samantha Selwood is in the comments and she and I talk a lot, and Bobby. I mean there's some people, but it's like there's this kind of discourse. You know, it's because writing in itself can be kind of lonely, and well, for lack of a better word, it's like a lot of it you're doing on your own, and I didn't understand the whole concept of people going live on TikTok and other platforms like Discord and just sitting there and typing all the time. It's like it's but now I get it. It's that you need that sort of like even if because you're not even if you can't be there physically, you're there for them, to help get them through it.
Yeah. I actually did that a couple times on TikTok, and I will admit there were some people that were not so nice in the comments, and I've never
Oh,
done it again.
oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like, but I get it. It's like, I mean, that's why I did it was to, oh, maybe I can chat with some people while I'm writing and
hmm,
find somebody to bounce some ideas off of. And yeah, it was like,
hmm.
it was not the best experience.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. So,
You know, there's people out there that want to make their comments make themselves feel better, and
yeah,
you know, unfortunately, sometimes it can hit a nerve, and
right.
you know, I do need to do it again just because I don't like to let people control me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Don't let the haters win.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I do need to find people to help mod. I will admit though, because even though I can be very outgoing and unfiltered, my anxiety makes it so that I don't like to bother people. And that even includes my family. It's like, I'll talk to them like, are you okay? Okay, just checking. And then I leave them alone.
Yeah. No, no. before you were talking about, all the stuff that happened when you were younger, and now is that sort of kind of what inspired you to write these stories later on, or
Yeah, because it was my escape. No matter what's going on in your life, whether you're just stressed, whether even you're happy, and I've always found that books and whether it was poetry or any kind of short story, or a long novel, uh, you can get lost in it. You can go to another world, and you can unwind, you can relax, you can forget about the day to day. And I've always said, it's like, if I could create that safe space, or that escape for like the busy mom who's frazzled, the dad that's pulling double duty or just having an off day, you know, the young adult who's just trying to figure out who she is or just wants some fun, then I feel like I've been a success. If I never make a dime on this, just to be able to give that back, that's that's what I want to do.
nice? Yeah, that's what that's what I'm learning. It's not what you get out of it monetarily, so much. It's just it's rewarding for me to find people that even want to read my books.
Yeah, I was at Books and Bourbon, and it still floors me. This one reader came running up to my table, and we were talking to somebody who was a narrator, and it was me and my best friend, and she runs up over by them, and she's like, puts her hands on the table and goes, "Who's the author?" My friend was scared, and which she is, and like backed up and everything.
I didn't do
And
it.
I'm just looking like, I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? And like in my head, I'm just like, fuck, 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 fuck. What did I do? Did I do something to her? Did I not do something? Was I supposed to do something? Like my whole anxiety. And she comes over, she goes, "Where's book two?" And I'm like, I stopped myself. I was about to be like, "Bitch, what the fuck is wrong with you? Don't do that to me." And I'm like, "It's right there." It's like, because I was, yeah, like I'm weird, I'm awkward, but I was just like, "It's right there." I'm like, and it hadn't even released yet, but I had it at Books and Bourbon. I'm like, "Yeah, it's there. You can have it." Apparently, she didn't like the cliffhanger at the end of book one. I
Oh,
don't
well,
know.
that's why you need book two. That's like, to be continued.
Exactly. But yeah, it was just so weird. Like later on, her and I were talking about it, and I'm like, I guess she liked book one.
Mm.
And it's like, it was so weird that somebody came just to find me and ask about the book. It was just like, wow, okay, that was weird.
So, how many books are you planning for that
I'm not
series?
planning. I tried to plan originally, but there's a scene in book one where I just wanted a touching scene between characters, trying to give them more depth.
Yep.
And so Jenna and Joanna are sitting in front of a fountain, and I'm like, oh, they should just. Joanna can tell her a nice, heartwarming story. So she tells her a story, and I couldn't get it out of my head, even though I literally just thought of it, wrote it out, and that was it. I didn't think about it in depth. It was just, it flowed right out. And it changed the whole underlying plot of the entire series.
Oh yeah.
So,
You never know. Yeah, yeah.
the
Sometimes
characters.
it you don't. Yeah, it's like those. Yeah, you can talk about being a plotter or a pantser or a plantser. It's yeah. I had that happen to me. The book that I'm working on now. There's a one of the main characters, the football player. I wasn't even planning on having him as part of the story. I just it was like, okay, she needs to meet somebody at the club. Okay, well, what does he do? Oh, he's a football player. And then it was, the more I wrote him, it was just like, wait a minute, this story isn't about her and her dad. It's about her and him, and it's so now what's his story? And now I've gotten to the point where the book is primarily about him and not the original main character that I had planned in the first place.
See, and that's just it. And it's like, because of something I did in book two, which I can't say because it will give it away, and I was warned not to say anything. But because she plans on watching the video, and I'm not allowed to give her spoilers. But there's something that's in book one that, because of something I did in book two, I realized later it's like, well, I could actually take that little kind of now Easter egg thing to do something in book three or book four that's going to change some whatever happened in book two that she yelled at me for and actually punched me in the arm. So it's like those little things we don't think about can end up making quite the impact later.
Yeah. Okay, so who's your favorite character in the whole series, and who's your least favorite?
No, favorite's got to be a tie between Jenna Devereaux and Ademia Aiden. Um, Jenna is obviously my main character. She is my hybrid, um, and I've actually wrote all these characters for about 15 years on roleplay sites before, in secret. Nobody even knew I was doing it. Um, so they kind of all have a story, and like they're very near and dear to me, but they're definitely my favorite. Demia is my fire demon. And if you ever listen to the audiobook, the way Paige narrates her is it's awesome. She's got a Brooklyn accent. She's got the attitude
Oh
down
yeah.
perfectly. Paige just yeah,
Mm.
she's phenomenal.
Oh,
Um,
100%. Yeah, Paige
uh,
narrated "Being Made" for me, and she did such a great job. And you know, like my main character, like the narrator of the story, had kind of like a long a New York accent. You know, a little bit thicker than mine per se, but it worked. You know, I'm listening to her narrate the story. I'm like, do I sound like that? It's funny.
what did when I first heard her narrate my book, I was listening. And I'm like, wait, did I write that? Because that sounds pretty damn good. I'm like, wow, wait, this is my book. And yeah, no, Paige is phenomenal. Actually, her and PJ are narrating book two in the next few months.
Okay, cool.
So we've already signed the contract. Um, but yeah, it's yeah. The way she narrates both Jenna and Ademia is just phenomenal. I'd have to say though, my least favorite character hasn't been shown yet.
Oh, dun dun dun.
Yeah, I already know where he's coming in. I already know. I don't know if he's gonna make it into book three. Depends on how a couple things play out. Um, but yeah, he's not one that I really care for very much.
Mm. Well, I'm hopefully that you know that you'll elicit the same reaction from your readers, and like you know,
Yeah, hopefully I don't get punched in the arm for anything that he does for
like
this.
they'll come up to you at the this year's Books and Bourbon, and they're like, "What did you do? Did you do that?"
That's what I got told for the end of book two. So yeah, no, I am working on book three. I've actually gotten a new editor though, and she's kind of familiarizing herself right now with book two so that she knows where it's going from like book three. Um, and yeah, so trying to split my time between that one and the mafia romance that I'm writing. It's just kind of it's a lot,
Yeah,
and I do work full time.
right.
So yeah, it's
I understand. Yeah, I feel like I'm being pulled in a lot of different directions when you know, which is one of the reasons why I had kind of had to step back from the writing thing this year. It's between working full time and just you know wanting to you know spend more time with family and just do other things too. It's a lot, and you know, which kind of like leads into my next question. How do you handle the author life balance?
no one handles that. That's a myth.
I know, I know. I just had to ask.
I've I've accepted that fact. Um, Honestly, it sounds really bad, but like, I'll take my iPad with me to a doctor's office, and while I'm waiting to go see the doctor, I'll sit there and write. Um, I've gone over to visit my mother, and while I'm sitting there, if she's watching her Hallmark movies, which I'm sorry, if anybody loves Hallmark, I am not a Hallmark fan. Almost every movie my mother watches, at least on there, it's a woman falls in love with a guy, there's a miscommunication, and instead of just saying, "Hey, what's going on?"
Mm-hmm.
she becomes either a bitch or she runs away.
Yep.
And then she gives up her whole life to come move there to be with him.
Yeah,
Make it make sense.
it's a lot like those Christmas Hallmark movies that my wife watches. It's you know, the workaholic, can't get out of, has to go. She has to, she's dreading going to her East Bumfuck, countryside hometown to see family again, and she meets the guy who works at the Christmas tree shop or whatever, like, and there's
Yes.
an awkward exchange, and then she's like, "Oh, I didn't know you make ice crystals too, or I didn't know you like puppies or whatever." And it's like, yeah, they
Exactly.
kind of
Oh, that's your son that I almost hit with my car?
exactly, yes. And then they kind of start getting closer, and then she gets the call from her boss like, "I need that presentation tomorrow morning." And she's like, "Oh, I gotta go." I'm like, "Hey, I thought we had something." And then she goes, and then she comes back like, you know Merry Christmas, I'm back.
Hey, we're not talking about the shifter Christmas trees. We're talking
Oh
about
my
the
god.
Christmas trees where the guy's just trying to hold
Oh,
the tree up.
oh, there is a. I'm sure you've seen the other Tanya Lynn with the Christmas tree shifter story.
I've seen her posts. I've never read the book or the story, but I've seen her posts about it. I've seen posts about the door shifter. Um, I've been told about some other shifter books that,
Mm.
yeah, no, I'll stick to my vampires and demons and werewolves and, you know, warlocks and mafia, you know.
So now,
See, now that makes me curious, Bobby. That's not fair. Don't do
uh
that to
oh,
me. Don't do that to me.
what is Bobby saying here in the comments? Let me see. Oh, the book. Oh, the final scene had her googling logistics. Yeah, that's interesting.
There's some books I have read because I've read a
Let's see.
lot of
So,
dark romance.
well, mm, mm.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a few. There's one hole here. There's one hole there. There's another hole there. It's okay. This checks out.
Well, and there was something I was reading. I forget what book it was in, but they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna stuff all four holes," and I'm like,
Wait, four?
and mind you, she was a human that they were talking to, and I'm just like, what? I'm like, what am I missing here?
Yeah, exactly. Wait, hold on a second.
Yeah, I did not finish that book. I will admit.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was just kind of there was some other things that just in the book really put me off, and I was just like, this is not for me. But yeah, I there was that scene and or that communication between them, and it was just like we're gonna stuff all four holes, and I'm just like, I'm hoping this is a misprint. I'm hoping.
was it like a Wicked Little Rabbit where she makes holes where there weren't holes?
No, it wasn't like that. It was more supposed to be like a stalker kind of like dark romance with these other guys and her, and it just like, yeah, it just didn't. There was a lot of things wrong with the book.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I just remember that scene was just kind of like, okay. And I tried reading more, trying to give it a chance, and
Yeah.
I couldn't.
So, yeah. No, you talked about sometimes you bring your iPad to the doctor's office or your mom's house. It's like, um, do you have any set routine when you're writing? Like the way you normally do. Like you need music, you need a beverage, or is it just whenever the mood strikes, you can just set up anywhere and do it?
I'm pretty much I will set up anywhere. I have done notes on my phone that I then copy into my Word document later. I have done emails to myself because I'm like, I'm doing a note is stupid. I will just email it, but then I've still sometimes done notes. I don't know why. Um, but I've done like an email to myself on my phone when I don't have my iPad. and I could just be somewhere and I'm like, oh, that's an idea. I gotta remember that.
Yeah.
I was at my hairdresser's and I had to write a note in my car before I left her house because we were talking about the mafia romance and a couple things transpired and we were joking around about when somebody screws up and they need chapstick.
Oh.
And it us joking around was kind of like that could be a thing. Somebody screws up, you toss them chapsticks, and you're gonna need this, and then they can throw it back later. So yeah, it was like one of those things. Where it's like I've got to make sure I note that I use that in the book. Yeah, I even do have like a little notepad that I carry with me, which of course, oh, yeah, see,
Oh, it's a little red book.
I'll jot down ideas.
Nice.
Like I said, I'm all over the place. I just whenever something strikes, if I can, I go
Yeah.
with it.
I have a notepad on my computer that's just like, you know, like pages and pages of dialogue or notes or whatever that I haven't used yet. It's because you can't throw anything out.
Nope.
You can't delete it.
Yeah, I've got notes in my phone that are just literally one or two lines because I'm like, oh, that's funny. I should
Yeah.
use that. Or I could see this character saying that, so I
Yeah.
got to put it down. And yeah,
Hmm.
I've got way too many
Yeah.
notes.
There have been
I would
times
never
where
use it.
I've written an email from my work, email to myself. It's like I'll just write stuff during the day, and then at the end of the day I'll just send it to myself.
No, see, there's been times I've had this, and as soon as I get out of work and I'm in my car, it's like, okay, let me write this down real quick before I forget. But yeah, it's like I text my son when I was somewhere before. And I'm like, hey, remind me about this later. And he's like, what does that even mean? Don't worry about it. Just remind me later.
Yeah, and that's a good segue. I'm just going to remind all of you to when you want to enter the Schmiv, drop the Gemini sign or down in the comments or type Gemini, and we're giving away a physical copy of which one is it? Is it the book one or book two?
Well, if they already have book one, I'll send them book two. But if they don't have book one, they'll be getting book one.
Sounds good. Now, how many works in progress do you have right now?
Well, I have book three for the Fate series, which centers around Jenna Devereaux. And then I have the Mafia romance that I'm working on that is partially based on my life event. And I do actually have the idea for a couple other books
Okay.
that I have a bunch of notes for, and I guess partial chapters here and there. But they haven't taken the full, like, picture yet, so I'm not really sure which way they're gonna go. Um, One is kind of a werewolf based story that has nothing to do with the Fate series at all. But it is based on like a whole clan of werewolves and lichens and their differences and everything.
Okay. That sounds interesting. Um, so when the characters aren't talking to you, when you don't, when you kind of get stuck, do you just kind of hop between whips, or how does that work, or do you just kind of disengage and entirely for a little while and do something else?
Ademia never shuts up. She could have her own book, honestly. Uh, which I think partially, like, I hate to say it, but, our characters are almost like real people to us at times. And it's almost like she complains that Jenna is the focus of the series and she needs her own, you know,
Hmm.
book written for her backstory and how everything came to be with her. And so, yeah,
Sounds like
no,
another
there's no
prequel, perhaps.
downtime.
A prequel, perhaps.
Yeah, and it really could be. Because I mean, like I said, I did write some of it before because I used to do the role play sites. But yeah, I've thought about it. Like she might get her own little backstory book, maybe a little novella. Um, I've also thought about making it just kind of a excerpt at the back of one of the books. just kind of her story. I like
Nice.
doing added extras into the hardcovers, so that might be something I add to one of the books.
Interesting. I think there's a little bit of a technical glitch. I see your lips moving, like, but I hear the words like, you know, like a little, like 2 or 3 seconds afterwards. Oh, now we're good.
Okay.
Yes. So, um, who are some of the authors that have inspired you?
Dean Koontz, Edgar Allan Poe.
Nice.
I have several of his collections. Uh, I've read a little bit of Anne Rice. Not a huge fan, actually. Um, and Stephen King, I've never really been able to get into. But I love his movies.
Oh yeah, they're always interesting. Yeah. I think for me, it's I mean, obviously, a lot of indie authors, like, I talked about Sam and Evie before, and Caitlin Brooke, and as far as so-called, trad publishing, Mitch Albom, who you might be aware of, is one of the reasons why I initially said, you know what, maybe I can do this, because he was a sports reporter, I was a sports nut, and then like, oh, he started writing, maybe I could start writing.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, as a kid, I did. I read Shakespeare. I read Longfellow. I actually copied down one of his poems, and it's actually in with all my poetry in a folder in the other room. Um, I've actually thought about typing up all my poems and releasing those, but a lot of them were written when I was very young, so
Oh,
they're not very good.
oh, well, maybe they need a little polishing. I don't know. You can go back in and kind of revise them and do like a poetry collection.
And I might. I mean, I did. I have at my events anyways, and they're on the website and they're on Amazon. But I mean, I even created reading journals.
Oh yes, that's right. I did see those. I'm like, I was looking at your
Yeah.
catalog. I was like, oh, she has 12 books. Well, like most of these are reading journals.
Yeah, I had a friend who really wanted some reading journals. So I created 9 different covers, and you can log like 200 books in them. But it's like, and she goes, "Well, I did them in paperback." She goes, "I wanted hardcover."
So,
Okay, fine. So I did them in hardcover as well. So yeah, I take them with me right now to events. Obviously, as I write more, I'm not gonna have room for them. They're not gonna be coming
gotcha.
with me. Although I will say, um, my best friend Ashley at Dreaming Dirty this month had a great idea for readers when they come to events is bring a reading journal, or if somebody there has one, buy a reading journal. And she was actually getting some authors to sign their names inside the book
Oh, nice.
and like list what the first book is in their series. And then she was taking notes about whether or not it was on KU, it was on Audible, or where she could get it.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's
Oh,
like she got autographs and she got to figure out what she was reading next.
yeah. And that might be a more, like a instead of walking around getting people's big business cards, just have them sign the journal.
Yeah.
Um, any advice that you have for people who are writing for the first time or want to get published or what what have you?
Don't be like me and be scared. um, Actually reach out to other authors, ask them your questions. You will find authors that are willing to help, that are willing to answer questions. You will also encounter ones that gatekeep, but don't let that get you down. Um, you know,
Yeah.
there's a big community of people that want to help others succeed. There's plenty of readers out there. It's not a competition. There's nothing wrong with supporting other people, and there's people that believe that way and are willing to help you. And really, at the first, just get it down. Get your whole story down, write it all out. It doesn't have to be good. And to be honest, it probably won't be the first time you write it. But Then you go back and you work at it and you clean it up and you let people you trust read it. They'll give you honest feedback. But also brace yourself for that feedback. you know,
Mm-hmm.
you've got to know that it's a craft we're always honing. I'm still working on it. It's on my third book, and I will say, finally in this third book, I've kind of shed the whole. I don't know if I should write that. Well, that's going to be a little testy. Um, I'm just writing it, and it took me two books to get to that point to feel comfortable. So don't be discouraged. It might not be your third book, it could be your fifth book, it could be your sixth book, but you'll get there eventually.
Nice. Yeah, that's yeah. I'm learning that too. It's you never really stop learning. It's like there's always you're always doing something, getting better at it, and like even and I've learned to love my first book as much as my second and third. It's like it's there it's still my voice, and there's a story in there. It's I used to put my first book down because it was it's the more I read it like after the fact, I'm like I don't know if I should have written it like that, and then the more I wrote, the more I got better at it. It was like, yeah, but well, you know what, I have to love my first book because without it I wouldn't have had a second book, and so on and so on.
And that's so true. It's like you got to love the mistakes. You got to love, yeah, it might not be the way you would write it now, but it got you to where you are.
Yeah, it's true.
So, no, yeah, I definitely agree with that. But yeah, that's one thing I'm still trying to learn, like when to ask for help and who to ask for help. So, yeah, anybody starting out, believe me, we're all still there.
Yes, we are. And this is Tanya Declercq, and we're gonna get into some fun questions, but just quickly, uh, drop the Gemini sign down in the comments, and we will hook you up with a rehoming of a signed physical copy, either book one or book two. And so we're gonna get into some fun questions. Not that these questions haven't been fun.
Before we do that, though, you should remind them about the pre-order that's going on.
You're talking about this one right here. This is
Yes,
not
exactly.
this is not your book. Well, this is our book. This is the Friday Night Writes anthology.
Hmm.
And for those of you who are seeing this on YouTube, I'm gonna make myself a little bigger right now, just for a moment. See me as I am. This is our first charity anthology, and the proceeds are going to NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and all of our contributors deal with some sort of mental or physical ailment, and a lot of them go unseen and overlooked. And a lot of our stories that we've contributed, um, some of their illnesses are the central theme of, whether it's anxiety, depression, PTSD, or RSD, fibromyalgia, and so on and so forth. Um, Pre-orders are open now. You can go to samantharan.net slash Friday Night Writes, or slash see me as I am, and we have a link tree, by the way. Friday Night link tree slash Friday Night Writes, one word, and everything you need is there, and all the pages, you know, and like I said, proceeds going to NAMI. Pre-orders are open now. The book is going to be released July 1st. So, so that's my little my little, it's like the YouTube video when you're watching something for 20 minutes, and then they sneak an ad in there abruptly, and then they go back to the topic at hand. That's kind of what just happened here.
But that is such a good cause, and
Yes.
I'm somebody who suffers from anxiety,
Mm.
and unfortunately, conditions that you can't just see by looking at me. So no, it's definitely something I support, and hopefully everyone will purchase a copy and donate to a good cause.
Yes, and I hope we do. And I believe we are up to 29 pre-orders. So thank you very much, everybody. And I'll post an update throughout the weekend, you know, on everything for Friday Night Rights. And of course, we have our weekly newsletter that you can subscribe to as well. It tells you about all of the happenings, not only with us, but with all of the wonderful authors, such as Tanya, who have been on our show and are a part of our community. All everything that's going on. Whether you have a book coming out, you have pre-orders, you have events that you're going to. Just it's we're trying to promote you. It's not about us. So, anywho, um, this is Evie Black's favorite question, and I think you know about this one. So tell us, what is your favorite dinosaur?
It is the raptor. And honestly, it's like ever since I watched Jurassic Park, and you know, she kind of snuck up on the guy and took him out. It's kind of like, yep, she was a sneaky little bitch.
What is the most daring thing you've ever done?
Writing a book under my real name.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
that's a good one. I know what that I know about that too. Like two
yeah.
books in, I'm like, maybe I should have called myself Oscar Stevens or you know B.S. Pilgrim or something like that. Whatever.
Well, it's just I kind of figured it's like at some point people are gonna find out it's me. You know, I'll slip up, or somebody's gonna ask what I'm doing or where I'm going for like my PTO days, and it's like, um, I
Yeah.
and I would cave. People at work know, my family knows. I constantly tell people I'm too lazy to lie. I really am. I don't want to have to remember what I said. It's like I'm just gonna be honest with people, which is why I also warn them: don't ask me a question you don't want the answer to. Um, because I am. It's like I don't want to remember it. So if I tell you the truth, I don't got to remember anything
Right.
because it just is what it is.
Yep. It's funny. I changed jobs about a month and a half ago, and my old job, um, my boss didn't know that I was an author until like a month before I left. We'd been there. I've been there for 4 years, and she had no idea. I mean, a
How
lot of
could she
other
not
people knew.
know?
I don't know how she didn't know. She just never paid attention. She was too wrapped up with whatever her daughter was doing, and with her cheerleading competitions or whatever.
See, that's the thing. It's like we have a member from our client on site with us at the warehouse. Um, and he's not a reader, but he got the audiobook because book one is on Audible. As you said, narrated by Paige. And he actually texted me after hearing part of the audiobook, and it was just like, okay, I know what he's talking about, but now it's going to be really weird seeing him again at the office.
Mm.
And it wasn't anything bad or anything like HR was not needed, it wasn't that kind of thing. But it was still like, okay, that's great. And then he told like the site director about my book and the scenes, and then was trying to get my site director to read the book in the office. So yeah, that's made for some interesting jokes and everything within the day to day.
Yeah, when I left my old job, there were some people who assumed that I was just leaving to devote my life to writing full time. I'm like, I wish I could do that.
Yes. All I thought was like, that is the dream. I would love to have just one job. Um, and as I keep mentioning when I've talked to readers, it's like they're the ones that make it happen. I mean, they are our ride or die. They're the ones that basically help us to live our dreams. It's like I am forever grateful for everyone who ever leaves a review or, you know, comments on my posts or likes them, because it's like, I mean, I'm small. I don't, you know, I'm not well known yet. Um, but it's like having that interaction and having that type of support is just, it means more than anything else.
Yeah. I mean, I'm one of the primary reasons I'm doing all of this, with the social media and everything is just because I love, the friends that I've made throughout this whole journey. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I mean, I feel like, that I've made a few close friends, and they mean so much to me. And I don't know if I probably would still write if I didn't have them, but it wouldn't be as fun. Um, Switching topics once again to something that is completely unrelated to books. What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Um, I hate to say it, but lately I've been kind of going back to my whole like Traverse City fudge swirl that you can get at like the grocery store.
Oh,
And they have one that mixes with cherries, and I forget the name of it because it's kind of just like order again, and I just okay. I'm a big Instacart user. I have to admit, it keeps me on budget and it saves me so much time. There's an author life hack.
right, right. Yeah, probably cheaper than DoorDash.
Yes, very much so. But yeah, I get my groceries delivered most of the time because I don't have the time to wait in the lines.
Gotcha. Yeah. I like cookie dough, and I like the Ben and Jerry's milk and cookies.
Oh, that is a good one. That is a really good one. I used to be a really big cookies and cream fan. Like that was
Mm.
just my go-to, especially the Oreo one.
See,
But yeah,
the funny thing
my
is,
cherries.
yes, the funny thing is, I don't eat Oreo. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Anytime I would eat Oreos, I would get insomnia. So I can't eat Oreos anymore, and I can't eat cookies and cream. I know. Just yeah. I mean, we all have our little weird quirks, and I guess that's one of mine. One of several.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think if we got all the authors on and just did a quirk show, that would be probably needing a lot of filtering and very amusing.
Yeah, DoorDash is insane, Samantha. It's like you get dinner for two from Five Guys, and it's like $48. What inanimate object would be the most annoying if it played loud, upbeat music?
Oh, I recall you guys were asking this one before. I don't know because if it's loud upbeat music, I mean, I'm a
Yeah.
like I
Now,
said, I'm gonna be 48. I'm a Gen X. I can pretty much deal with all the loud music. It's
so,
the only way to listen to music.
oh yes, yes. Well, I mean, most of the time I listen to headphones now, but yeah. Just so you know, we've had people suggest items that go into holes.
Well, I mean, it gives a whole new meaning to feeling the rhythm.
Yeah, that might be a bit of a mood kill though if it played the wrong kind of music.
True, very true.
Maybe like the Benny Hill theme, not so much.
The Golden Girl starts playing.
Thank you for being a friend. Yeah. No, thank you for being.
Exactly. We're
This
very
is above.
friendly.
This is above and beyond friendship right here. Oh boy. Um, what food have you never eaten but would like to try?
I don't think there is anything. I mean, I've tried quite a bit of food. Um, just because I've had some friends that have kind of forced me to, honestly. It
Ah,
wasn't even really my idea. But they were very adamant that, you haven't lived until you've tried this.
oh,
Okay. So, yeah, it's like, let's go eat sushi, let's go eat Thai food, let's go eat Indian food, let's go, it's,
right.
yeah. it's, there's really nothing else that I'm aware of currently
Hmm.
that I'm kind of like, I really want to try that.
Yeah. You know what? Come to think of it, I'm asking myself that question, and I can't come up with an answer either.
I think we get to a certain age and it's just like, you've kind of already tried all
Yeah,
that, or
you know,
we
or
don't want to because we don't have the Tums near us.
yeah, that's a good point. I can't answer that one either. But what have I never tried that I would want to try? At this point in my life, I think I know what I like and what I don't.
Exactly. And I think I've been curious about, like, I've tried. It's,
Hmm.
you know, like, that's why I wanted to eat it. So,
Yeah. What would you use to survive the zombie apocalypse?
an assassin? Can
Mm,
I can I have an assassin with me?
of course. Yeah,
I think as long
I
as I have an assassin and my cats and my kid, I'm good.
hmm. Yeah, I think I don't think the rules apply if it's a zombie apocalypse. I think zombie apocalypse would trumps martial law. So I think all bets are off.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, just bring me an assassin and then let me take my kids, my cats. I'm good.
Hmm. Yeah. Uh, okay. Last fun question. If you're trapped in a foxhole, who's the one person you want with you besides an
Only pick
assassin?
one. I don't know if he goes a little nuts being trapped in there. I don't think I want an assassin down there with me. uh, I can only have one person trapped down there with me. I guess I'm picking my kids. It's gonna have to be more than one. They're gonna have to both come. We drag
Okay.
them in.
Okay, it works for me. So, and again,
Yes, Loki, you can come too.
yes,
I'm getting kicked.
yes, Loki, we're almost done here, and I was just about to remind everybody one last time, if they want a signed physical copy of Tanya's books, whether it be a life forged in death or a choice forged by fate, drop the Gemini sign in the comments, or if you can't find it, just write Gemini. Either one counts. And once we get to the part where I pick a winner, I'm gonna have to go back and count all of the entries. Oh shoot! What did I do here? Did I just lose everything? Oh no, I don't think I did. Hold on a second. I think I did. I just I can't. I'm clicking on the chat feature, and all of a sudden, all of the stuff that everyone said since 8 o'clock is gone. That doesn't sound right. So, well, I'm gonna have to figure this out in a minute. But uh, before we do that, Tanya, can you remind us where we can find you online?
You can find me on Facebook under Stories by Tanya. You can find me on TikTok as author Tanya D. You can also find me on Instagram under author Tanya D. I'm also on Threads. I'm also on Blue Sky and Lemonade with the same username. And then I have my website, geminiauthor.com.
Nice. Yeah, I have to sign up for Lemonade with my new account because my old account, somebody borrowed it and didn't give it back, and now I'm apparently selling all these weird products. It was one of those things where like they changed my password, wiped out all my information, and I can't get it back.
That's well.
Yeah.
Maybe you need the assassin.
Yes, yes, that would be nice. So, um, this is not an endorsement of assassination. Do
No,
you
this is not.
do
No,
you?
we need a computer assassin that can get in and hack and get it back.
There you go. Do you have any planned events for 2025?
Well, I've already done two. I was at three. I've done three so far this year. I was at the Great Lakes Comic Con for the first time. I was at the Indianapolis uh, Comic Con, which that was interesting. I've never been to a Comic Con, so those were fun.
Oh,
I was at Dreaming Dirty, but I do have several more, and I knew you were going to ask, so I actually wrote them down. But they're also
nice.
all on my website. All my events are always on my site, and they all have the pre-order links for each event, and anybody who pre-orders gets special little gifts with their books. But I will be at Lust in Virginia Beach. Um, they're doing a speed dating with the authors on that Friday, and then the event is that Saturday on June 1st. I'm at Festival of Books and Creativity here in Novi, Michigan. That is on June 29th. Roaring Readers at the Reed House on July 12th. Getting Witchy with It in Salem, Massachusetts, it's September 21st. Books by the Arch, the weekend of October 11th.
Oh,
I'm back at Books and Bourbon Spooky Soiree, weekend of October 18th. And then I'm at Flirty in Iowa on November 15th.
wow. You're all over the place this year.
I am. I always wanted to travel, and I figured this is a great way to do it.
Very cool. Okay, oh, I found the chat, so I'm gonna kind of just very quickly before we continue, I'm gonna count all the entries. Let's see, Bobby, Sam,
It looks
Bobby.
like I have a friend already at the other events now.
Oh, it looks like okay. So far we have okay, good, got that. Um, anything else you would like us to know before we pick a winner?
No, I just appreciate everybody who joined and everybody who watches the video. And, whichever way that you like to enjoy books, whether it's e readers, physical, or audible, keep doing it.
Cool. So, all right, now is the time, and it looks like we have the same amount of entries for Samantha Selwood and Bobby Isabel. So, how are we gonna figure this out? I have a coin. No, let's see. Uh, okay. Mm, pick a number from 1 to 12. Any number.
Need the Jeopardy music.
Go ahead. Pick a number.
Me or them?
Oh, you.
Oh, 6.
Okay. Samantha Selwood is the winner. Yay. So, congratulations. That is Little Sam Writes in the comments. So, um, you can get in touch with Tanya D, and you'll exchange all the good information. It's been a pleasure having you. It's this evening. It's been wonderful. I've had more than a few laughs, and I thank you very much. Before we
Well,
go,
thank you for having me on here.
No problem. My pleasure. And before we go, just one more reminder. Uh, yes, See Me As I Am, the Friday Night Rights charity anthology. The pre-orders are open, and it comes out July 1st. And next week we have T.L. Combs with us. Our episode will be available on YouTube starting later tonight or tomorrow morning. And we were going to start filling up for 2026 soon. So if you if you're an author and you want to get on the show, we have an interest form in our link tree, in our profiles, and just you can. It's there. There's a link to it. Have at it. And once again, that anthology comes out July 1st. Pre-order that. And Tanya, thank you very much again. And everybody else, thank you very much for watching, for listening, and for sharing this fun experience. So thanks again. And
Thank you.
thanks. And have a great evening, everybody.